Welcome to the second half. I hope you enjoy. Be sure to check out Patreon down below to vote in new videos and get early access to everything, plus lots of other stuff. See you there. Probably the single most badass moment of the anime to date, to be honest, especially with him throwing that giant weapon up onto his shoulder and the sound effects there. Something like that just happened in Delicious in Dungeon. Personal win, but shocking all the same. I really gotta say the music is excellent in such a weird way. It just heavily complements all the scenes in the same way you'd find in games like Silent Hill and whatnot. Glad that the chase scene was very short, since you'd assume he could catch her quite easily with all of his training. Unexpected plot twist! I found that equally as awesome as when he did the rotating kick against the giant dude and deflected his huge punch. The music. Again, very much the same win as before. He absolutely should be able to keep up with her, and he does. That was very much unexpected. I forgot how often this anime deploys plot twists against us, the viewer. They're totally attacking with another plot twist. Also take another because, yet again, he took the punch for her to protect her, because he has to, but also maybe for other reasons. Really glad he did that. It's totally realistic since she had powers he wasn't used to dealing with, and he may have lost just due to that reason alone if he wasn't careful enough. Kind of a small plot twist, but still felt a needed one, as with her speed and strength and special attacks, didn't think she'd suddenly start crying. Yo-ho-ho! It's Brock from One Piece, currently one of my favourite voice actors in the anime. Ninja in a bath scene! The building dynamic now between these two, who very much should be at odds due to their stations, and yet that's now no longer the case due to them being part of the same team. Clap member in the bath scene! Talked a lot about realism in the last video, and here's another. You wouldn't want to risk drinking potentially unsafe or unknown water right now. There are some voice actors who do things in their roles that just melt my heart, and she did one right there. It was like music to my ears. Really now starting to gain a much better understanding of this island and its layout. That was some truly gorgeous animation on that. Must have been so many frames involved because it was so smooth as well. These two really being in the thick of it, where they are in the world against truly powerful enemies now. And now they've both been seemingly taken out here. Although I thought that before and the anime pulled the rug on me, but either way, really shocked at the turn of events for sure. See the rug? See them pull it? They're still alive! They pulled that rug a little! Also though, my god, this scenery! Then following it up with this beautiful looking scenery shot too. Meanwhile, he's just pointing out what is absolutely obvious to everyone else. Small win, but how we can see pretty much through her mouth, side on. I'm not the world's biggest fan of the talking out the side of your face thing we see in Bookworm and so on.
これで先発します。あら、綺麗になった。
It's very sweet how much she is helping the young girl, acting as a mother of sorts in this situation, a big part of who she is too.
平穏に、まっとうに、己の信念に寄り添いながら、時に差を差し、時に隠し。
Her words here, I felt like they were quite profound, really. He probably felt much the same way at the time too, and likely now.
なんか、いろいろあるのかもしれんが、わしは気にせん。君はそんなことする必要ない。
For context, he asked that she not hide her scar with her hair anymore, and I just thought this made for an equally lovely moment, albeit far more rare, from him towards her.
傷を恥じているなら、そんなもの気にするな。
And then there's nothing better than him putting that into action right afterwards either.
おい、どこ見てんだ。
もう勘弁してくれ。
Half the win is getting another backstory to enjoy, this time on one of the non-criminal side of things, and the other half is this run-in not going at all how I figured it would. This anime is stupidly great when it comes to throwing new things at us to just deal with. I'm guessing maybe that's another of the super strong ones, but who knows at this point?
お前らの仕業か？無駄なのに。
McBurn from the Trails games, and of course Yami in Black Clover and Eraserhead in My Hero. Wow, to her credit, she managed to dodge him not just once but twice in a row.
早い。人間のくせに。
And his own attack come out of nowhere too. Three here. Firstly, it's a double for the slicing and dicing and how it was done. It was clearly a beautiful and perfected art form that he wields to a great extent. Secondly, a single win for not running away on the spot. Ah, this thing is such a freak and it's freaking me out. It's so good though, a great twist yet again as his master, who brought him into this life when he was still a kid, arrives to help them out.
先の立ち筋、転速にこだわりすぎて動きが雑だ。
Ranga from Tensura.
さすがに盲目の私一人では限界があると思い、同じく帰路につくものを探していた。
Giving him an actual reason to have arrived there just in time rather than it being unexplained or an ex machina moment.
場合によっては私が処刑しよう。
この子は罪を犯してないんです。この子が自由に生きられる世の中に可能性を感じてる。
Says so much about him that he's ready to draw a blade on his master in order to protect her because he knows she has done no wrong.
ま、そこまで言うなら。
ほら来たーねえ、結局いい人なんすよ。
No idea if it will turn out good in the end, but I'm very happy to see him so happy that the situation is diffused.
逃げるだけならさっきの要領でいけそうっすけどね。
なめられてるな。
Oh, this anime seriously has the best twists that you never see coming.
先生。
あれ。
Ah, no! We only just met this dude and already he'll potentially be taken out, but still, such a good twist. Oh, also, this version of them is voiced by someone who did Sayori from the Judgment games. Brilliant ones by the makers of Yakuza, highly recommended, plus she was the boss in AI The Somnium Files. A fresh series of unique attacks and a slow-mo moment. What is this, my birthday? I'm not slighting it because in the end of the day it was a weekly anime, but look at this compared to the likes of a Dragon Ball Z fight or Dragon Ball Super more recently.
だがつぼみというのはあらゆる可能性を秘めている。可能性というつぼみが花開く時が必ず来る。
ねえ、可能性なんて。
Ah, this isn't looking good for him. Such a genuine shame as well. I love his voice acting, and as a character, he was honestly just a great, honourable man in the end.
まさか。
ああ、シオンは気づいたんだ。目の前の罪人が鉄心だとな。
This is so much more sad when you understand that there's no real way that he could survive that attack.
何かに真面目に打ち込んだことなんてなかった。でも俺にも守りたい人ができるのかな。でねえ。俺が死んでも二人は逃がす。
How we're not just given a backstory, but we're given a pretty detailed one that also ties into his hopefully surviving master's life as well, making it deeper as a result.
逃げろ。逃げてくれ。
Already giving them max wins for this excellent moment where he uses every single ounce of his remaining strength to do right by the ones he wants to protect, who he finally found. As sad as this was, I have to praise how these are thoughts and not words spoken, since his body is so messed up now. The quite frankly incredible moment he's able to utter half a word through all the blood that makes his sensei understand that it's the right thing to do to flee, to take that given chance.
すみません。目をかけてもらったのに。
Outstanding voice acting there as he lands one final hard attack to give them time to escape.
君には可能性がある。
You know what? Take another for him not landing one final attack, but final attacks.
これが天座の望みだ。
Massive kudos for making this so sad in such a short anime. And we knew him for even less time than that. But here the main win is for the moment he knows he has passed.
志を同じくする仲間だ。彼の死をとした覚悟。
How he speaks about him afterwards is beautiful too, calling him his brother and wanting to honor the chance he gave them to get away. Ah, they finally got a tear out of me with that final image there.
おっしゃー！一本取ったぞー！
見事だった。
先生、これからも自分に剣を教えてくださいっす。
Easy max wins for the ending there, a large part of it being used to show this moment, and then knowing he was so happy when he won a duel, it was enough for him to stay with him for good. Ah.
悪いが謎解きを待つ時間はない。わざわざ向こうから出てくるならば好都合だ。
Oh snap! Our boy is heading off alone into the middle of the island. This is crazy.
なんだこの声。歌。いや。
This island couldn't get much more weird if it bloody well tried.
本物の神仙境だと。
So many questions. Like, does this mean that humans also built this at some point in time as well? Oh, I'm so nervous.
は僕が。
人間を戦役にするためか。
No clue if he's right or where that train of thought even come from, but the way he does it is so intense, and that reaction makes me think he may be right. Don't care, giving it max wins because we know how fast that thing is, and yet he not only won the first exchange, but followed up with this legendary kick as well. Ah, he did the thing again where he uses their momentum against them like he did with the giant dude in his punch. Mentioned it a lot during the first video, but yeah, these hand-done animations are still glorious. We knew it was very likely to happen, but it didn't stop it from being super shocking.
お主が天仙様か。
そういうお前は人間なのか。
I love it so much. He's saying about how he accidentally took out another one he should have kept alive, and suddenly he's being spoken to by him. Two continuous motion shots with a rotating shot mixed in on the second.
お前みたいなのはここ数百年で初めてだ。
Feels good to get a better understanding of just how strong these guys are when he compares them like this. Doing these attacks in slow motion is pretty sick.
攻略法などあるのか。目鼻がもげても生きて帰る。
In spite of taking such horrendous levels of damage, he keeps himself on his feet purely through willpower from the thought of returning to his wife. That totally smacked of All Might vs. Nomu from My Hero Academia Season 1's end, and I loved it. That's Max wins. Can't believe even after all of that damage, it's still gonna seemingly regenerate. It's turned into a creepy flower! It just seems so insanely unfair. He's so strong, and yet this thing just has incredible attack and defense and everything.
これが夢だとしても、君と話せたことが嬉しくて。
何をおっしゃってるの？
He's so awesome he could tell that this was a dream.
もしかしたら、帰れないかも。
Not gonna lie, that hurts to see after everything he's been through and done to get back to her.
死の際になれば反射的に相打ちを狙う。意志とは関係なくな。
As great as this is, I just really do not want it to be the end of him, but as we've seen, fairly important seeming characters can often suddenly be taken out, so I'm proper nervous. Another in a long line of plot twists that I hadn't expected. In fact, I forgot she was even seen watching him as he entered the place before the big battle.
Mei, 何のつもりだ?
Half the win is for her saving him, but the other half is because she sounds really odd there. Like, maybe old? Like, perhaps going through that battle seemingly drained the thing?
はい。
でもさ、蓬莱に行くのはいいとして。
These gorgeous visuals are totally scoring another win. It's so good looking. Getting to see what pretty much all of the super powerful hermits look like.
人間相手に騎士会までするほど追い詰められるとは。
And there it is, our boy brought this thing to the brink with his attacks, causing it to transform, which is clearly something they rarely do, and now it's very weak, I'm guessing.
仮に穴から出てこられたら。
These two brothers have survived! Let's go! As easy as that and back to full power, but at least it serves to let us know that they do need this stuff to live, and it might well be rare to get as well.
幼い頃って、あんたが葉っぱだった頃？
違う。私もお前たちと同じ姿だった。
That joke! They're rare in this one, but very funny when they do come about, but also that reveal that he used to be a human.
これは私の娘。不幸なことに家族で最初に受化してしまった。
The mere fact alone that the mangaka has continued to give us new lore, even with logically most of the story now having been fully revealed to us, and sad stories like this.
でも無事であってほしい。
That she clearly now cares for him warms my heart, I must say. These two still very much being alive.
ボロ雑巾が動いたと思ったら、あの時の忍びじゃねえか。
Brilliant. I had been wanting to see more of him since episode 3, so this is great, but also credit to the mangaka as well for finding ways to keep splitting them up into different groups.
はいはい終わりです。無駄な牽制合戦はやめてください。
Literally don't know what's happening. It's like they're fighting but not actually fighting, figuring out who would win in an exchange without following through exactly. Weird, man.
お主らの強さを見込んでの提案だ。共闘関係を組まないか。
He's certainly growing as a person, understanding that a change in tactics here is the only logical approach, rather than being forced to fight them both, and no doubt lose to them. That was incredibly sick!
そんな強そうなやつ合わなかったぞ。なんで？
知らんよ。
っていうか再生能力？
This whole change of attitude was so shocking, I had to give it a win for legit making me chuckle.
今まさにこの姿が、この言葉が絵となり文字となり途方もない先の時代に残る。
Just as I mentioned in the first half, it's great when we see why everyone is fighting, because invariably there's a ton of different reasons, and so far we've seen plenty.
いや、 さっきまで幼かったのに成長している。
And the mysteries and twists keep on piling up.
助けてくれてありがとう。喋れるなら教えてほしい。
It feels like the manners his wife taught him burst through here once he had calmed down, so he thanks her and then begins to speak calmly again.
特定の時代文化が表層的に混じってるだけ。戦略も脱出経路も必ず見つけ出せるはずです。
So many puzzles being worked on and solved bit by bit. I'm so hyped. Wow, this dude really is legit.
俺にも与えてくれ。もうこれ以上目の前で大好きな人が死ぬのは。
I often find dualities like this written really well. He won't train her because he doesn't want to see any more young lives end, and she wants to be trained to avoid seeing loved ones die. How all of them are talking about the same thing here, but with different names, basically. Quarter rotating shot after taking down a fugly. Ah, these things look so weird.
あいつはなんだ。
And the awesome twists and mysteries keep piling up. Actually going back in time a little to see these two escaping, only made more impressive by hearing Eraserhead mention how no one can escape the hole. It's impossible, but it's not.
頭と心臓のある側じゃなくな。となると急所は交換か。へそだろ。
On the surface he seems like he's just crazy and wants to take them out, but in reality, fighting the monster has already given him a new plan of attack.
誰ぞ。
やっぱり生きてましたか。
These bloody twists coming out of thin air and shocking me all the time.
穴に戻っておとなしく単になって。
And the fight begins, and naturally so, since his side of the argument was please re-enter the hole and cease to live.
なんだ。
カモネギってやつだな。
罪深く愚かな人間め。
Had to cut a few bits there, but definitely one for him being so shocked at the physical strength that he's convinced he's drank the liquid that Tensen had before.
タオの乱れは意識の死角。好きだ。
As sad as it is to see him losing, you gotta love how they made us understand Tao better by showing how he cannot see out of the eye and then what that looks like. Max wins for that, firstly because his brother sounded genuinely terrified in the background, but also because of how he elevated himself up to gain the height to hit his head.
おいおい、下手な喋りがやんだな。もしかしてあれがバケモンどもの力の正体か。
This lad might legit be becoming a monster on this island in his own right. He can seem like a bad guy, and then you witness this, the bandits saying they need to be made to look like bandits and not nobles, and fearing for his brother, he slashes his own eye. I think he just regained the use of his eye!
送信こっちに集まっ。
ああ、それは無理。
まあ、実践あるのに、これがタオ。
This guy having gone from the height of confidence to now being a nervous wreck now that he's figured out how the whole thing works in a matter of minutes and keeps getting stronger.
なんだ、やっぱ殺せるじゃん。
The final attack from him, just too much for YouTube sadly.
ひとまず兄さんの命があってよかったが、本当に大丈夫なのか。
That's what I was talking about before, is some enemies are suddenly more on our side, and now he's potentially going in the other direction. It's very interesting.
一体一体急所が違う。まあ生物学的に不可解といえば。
Great follow-up to the last few minutes regarding mysteries, as we now learn that strangely enough, in spite of looking the same in many cases, their internal structure is all different.
俺には全国津々浦々
He is far stronger than I thought he'd be when moving to block an attack like that, especially when we understand just how fast these enemies are. Goodness me!
今すべきことは何か考えろ。また泣かれてもかなわんし、それだけでもよしとするか。
Loved that building element to his character, that he moves on instinct in times like this, even if it runs contrary to his thought patterns just prior.
あの蝶の親玉か？ぶち殺してやる。
Only natural given it cost him his hand, but I also liked seeing that fire in his eyes when he locks onto a decent new target he thinks is worth a battle.
こいつらも使うのか。むやみに突っ込むな。奴らは不可視の術を使う。
Is it just me, or does this music remind anyone else of fight scenes in Mob Psycho 100 as well?
しかしメイ様はそのまま蓬莱から消えてしまわれた。どうか我らの修行のためお戻りください。
The full understanding of why she is so afraid of them, and to be honest, it makes me like her more, because in spite of her fears, she still followed him and helped him, bless her.
お嬢が怯えてた理由が分かったぞ。超気持ち悪いなてめえら。
And credit to him as well, considering these are all bad guys, technically. He totally stands up for what is right here, and does so with zero hesitation.
硬いがそのまま燃えて忍法火の橋。
I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying these battles. They're so different to normal all the time as well, because of all of the weirdness going on this island.
それは弱さじゃない、強さの種よ。
強いも弱いも。
How Tao and what it is and how it works is translated to him via scenes from an earlier episode where this concept was directly brought up. That's so clever.
戦術鈴刺し。
避けてこんな説明で理解したのか。
Our boy has totally learned how to do it as well as the blonde-haired lad from earlier. So damn quick.
自分の弱さを受け入れて初めて相手の弱さも感じられる。
Take another for him laying out the reason how he's able to use this new power now. I liked how he put it, to be honest.
玉が分かるように。
That was so sick. The battles keep on getting better, and now we have our heroes learning how to fight them too. Like, they're in for a world of hurt at this rate.
忍法怒りつぶてムカデバージョン。
Easy win for them both finishing the battle, him protecting his rear, and allowing him the final blow too. And now, as we come to the end of the episode, the other group has made their way beyond the gate, and my word, everything looks so different!
やばい。
She understood before anyone else how badly the situation had suddenly turned. Must have been by pure instinct too.
魂だの服なんとかだのそういうの全部嘘だから。
Horrible thing for him to have to learn at his end.
こいつらは教師。僕が人間で作ったんだ。
These freaky new enemies making an appearance.
戦薬がない戦薬がないとご免状も手に入らない。
Lovely to see how she now clearly deeply cares for him.
忍法変わり身。
She's totally got her own awesome skills.
わかる。でもね、最優先は目先の命。
I'm also starting to think that she too cares in her own way, since she wanted to snap her out of it here so they can run, whilst she could have just run off on her own if she wanted to.
避けたか。目がいいね。
I have a feeling something bad is about to happen to her, but for now, totally take one for her being way stronger than I thought she'd end up being.
毒液を代謝してる時点で常人じゃないし。でもただ曖昧に扱ってるだけ。
Double wins here, far too much red juices to get away with showing, but how they teamed up to attempt to bring him down was great. He lopped off limbs, she used acid slime, and of course those effects too. Even giving it everything they've got, he's still able to take both of them on at the same time. And there's multiples of him, and there's the big bad guy too. Not looking good. Nervous win.
じゃあそろそろデブ殺して。おっと立ち直りが早いね。 でも君じゃ何もできない。
Oh, this kind of animation during combat is right up my street. How come she's just the best though? She has grown so much in the past half a dozen episodes, it's straight up wonderful to see.
分かってる。あの傷再生してない。
And take another one for that awesome reveal too.
消えたんじゃない。
Thank goodness they decided to stay with her and fight all together. Also, as a part of this win, is how anti-anime it is, as usually, when someone says, I'll deal with this, they let them deal with it.
ありがとう、セント。
And one for the excellent teamwork on display. Love to see it. Max wins even if I can't show it, but it's again their amazing teamwork. One slices the arms, the other launches into taking out the legs, leaving her a chance to end it. It's so good!
諦めんのはまだ早いよ、サギリン。敵さんもこれ焦りの裏返しだと思うし、普通でしょ。こんなところで死ぬ気ないし。
I also wanted to highlight this aspect to their teamwork as well, that when she's thinking it's all over, she casually props her back up and gives her hope when needed. It's still so good!
本物の神でもぶっ殺す。
What a beautiful looking attack!
顔一枚でお願いしますよ、サギリンさん。お任せください。
Oh yes, I do like that. He's not happy to give up his life, he naturally wants to live and so tells her to be careful basically.
賭けでしたが、お二人の勝利ね。
僕は。
Great final attack, and then these casual words exchanged made me smile. I mean, I'm not entirely sure they've won. This is Hell's Paradise after all, but for now, happy.
つうかこれ全部金じゃん。これだけありゃ戦略代わりになるんじゃない？
Nami Ninja!
でも我が家では代々男子は山田家の門下に入るのがしきたからうことは許されなかった。
Getting background for yet another character, and it's another kind of sad one too, since he wasn't able to live the way he wanted to either.
自由で眩しくて胸が詰まるほど羨ましいんだ。
Giving him a proper reason for his feelings beyond just the physical was a nice touch, I thought.
譲りよ。
Another great twist, and sadly, I'm guessing he gave his life in the end to protect her, and the ideal he wished he could have lived by. In a sense, I suppose, he did it in the end. I knew it was too good to be true, but beautiful animation on that as well. Reminds me of JoJo-styled animation. Oh my goodness, just when all hope seems lost, he comes out of nowhere. I absolutely love it!
試し一刀流ヒュ試し一刀流修理
The fact alone that they seem to sync up the words with the sword strikes was just the height of awesome right there, on top of the building battle itself. One thing the studio has done a really good job with is the impact sound and visual effects. Like here, it really felt like a big weight behind his kick and thus looks and sounds great. That's adorable! You know what this reminds me of? The unfairness felt watching Demon Slayer, where our heroes need to be perfect to win, and they can make dozens of mistakes and still win potentially. Him cutting and ripping the flowers out of himself was great, but also really gross looking.
そうか。
Bless her, this is what she thought was needed for her to be able to get back into the fight. That really is adorable.
先生にもやってみたら元気になったって言うから。
明確に体力が回復している。
Oh, it's not just a cute thing. It actually works.
ですからこれです。
包帯と譲り刃の粘液で肌を覆いました。
Even if she isn't joining them, for now anyway, in the big fight, at least she did things to help them both in taking on this foe. Right away, she proves that it was no fluke that she was able to dodge a few of its attacks back on the beach. These three also having excellent teamwork, and of course the excellently smooth animation to boot.
たくましくなったな。
Wholesome as hell to see him smiling at her growth.
村しぐれ。
Dropping max wins for this already. I'm so impressed watching this guy fight, it's insane. Plus, even though it wasn't over the top, it felt like the voice actor nailed it, with the power behind his voice for the attack. Won't directly show it, but this is what I was on about before. It keeps regenerating, albeit much slower now, and meanwhile the humans are coughing up red juices due to the pressure on themselves.
決して許しはしない。あの時逃げることしかできなかった自分自身を許しはしない。
Doing the sword overlays was a nice touch there, but also, of course, learning that he's fighting for his former student, and because he's so saddened that he couldn't help him back then and only could run. And that's what I'm talking about before with the excellent voice acting. Top notch! I continue to freak out whilst loving it so much. Just when you think it'll land a final blow on him, in spite of his efforts, she comes back and stops it.
迷う時間はない。センター。
Well done for making me so tense, I'm on the edge of my seat and nearly falling off. Jokes aside, it's bloody growing back, whilst he's thinking where to strike, and thankfully she brought him over. The best part of that is that it's knowledge built from his love of art and learning about it over the years. A jumping, spinning attack like that with a downward strike had to get its own. Come on, man.
1000年待ったよ。ありがとう。
The end to the battle at long last, and another moment that feels quite reminiscent of Demon Slayer 2, like he actually wanted to be set free after all.
もって半時ね。さっきのが限界だったみたい。
That's genuinely quite sad, and I think that's largely down to the awesome Deku voicing him.
命さえあればなんとかなるって言ったじゃない。
忍びは現実主義なの。
I get her point, but it's really even more sad to think that both could be helped here, but she has to keep some for herself just in case.
その人の胸の中でも思い浮かべて、美しい景色の中で死になさい。
憧れの人の胸の中。
Yeah, they got a tear or two out of me there, I must say. That was really beautifully done, and the lovely art style used was perfect as well. They can have max wins for that. His nice and respectful final resting place as well.
全員で必ず生きてこの島を出る。必ずです。
How her mentality has now shifted from originally following the rules to the letter, and to be half content to carry out an execution if needed, to this now.
目覚めていきなりそれって警戒しすぎだろ。猫かい。
Out of all of the things he could have said as a reaction to seeing this, this is probably the best. The stark differences between these two locations, as they're in a cave and meanwhile they're wherever this is.
生還するために必要な情報だけに特化して整理しよう。
For context, he clapped his hands once and said, "Don't stop what you're doing, but just listen," and they said yes. But I liked how he naturally takes the position of leader now.
精神や体に異変が起きたり、意識、例えば記憶などにも影響が出たり。
A good way, I thought, of highlighting what the other two may be going through, clearly differently to one another as well, as different to them in the main group, all using it differently.
似たものはあれど不老不死の薬はないってさ。
She somehow ended up getting even more cute.
それ幻じゃないかな。
幻。
Context. She's talking about the chief from the village who seemed to demonstrate how he's immortal, and I don't even know what to think now. Were we lied to all this time?
女ならまだしも男にあの年で初対持たすかな。例えばほら恐怖心だけじゃ人は操れないでしょ。ガビマルの奥さん、そんな人は本当にいるの？
This woman is making me question near enough the entire start of the story like it's no big deal.
ガビマル、体大丈夫？
ああ、問題ない。
By the way, what a bloody clever twist for the end of the first season, that he cannot recall anything that has happened on the island, and clearly his Tao is all out of whack too.
サギリ、まさか俺。
いえ全然。すぐ色恋に結びつけるの悪い癖ですよ。
How she put a huge stop to that before it was even able to start.
私は二人の再会を信じてる。そう。彼なら決して諦めない。
She is so sweet, because even whilst thinking it may all have been a lie by the chief and village, she still believes he and his wife will end up together, and that's so wholesome. This end reveal of new members of the Yamada group heading to the island, and of course, knowing that season 2 is on its way no less. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Darth Weirdo, Fiji, Mal Liao, Mushwin, Nick Wyndham, The Elementator Wars, Christopher Willis, Emmanuel Gonzalez, Fancy Turtle, Kepan, Minimasher, Marquez, Nozomi, Orkeeper, Autobotanisi, Steelers, The Epic Commander, Bird Without a Word, Brendan Greer, Brian Bayard, Cameron, Christopher Terrasa, Commander Cyrus, David Freerix, Devicool, Doggos for Life, Dragonstorm 35, Guru, James DeFoyer, Yor Edvinson, Kevin Alston, Cumfroik, Miora Night Sky, Mr. Mansu, Nightly Winter, Peter Milligan, Robert Jackson, Ruby Rose, Sataki Ari, Zions 44, Sean, Starkip, Tiger Lily Warrior, Alexander Schwartz, Ali 50, Amadillo, Arnador, Brainless Ben, Cecilia, Cedric, Cloud Garden, Dante's Soul, Dante's Face, Dark Lord Bloody Soul, Donald Newborn, Dragon Defender, Dragon Boy 1, Drake's Daughter, Iso, Francie, Furious Mo, Garrett Vermeesh, Henrik Jensen, Host Losritter, Israel Caldera, Joe Crims, Jason Davies, John, Jaffa 6263, Kai Wolfspring, Kelnock, Kevin Nelter, Kevin 102, Knuckle Duster, Cody Niemeyer, Kai 158, Carl Jones, Laxor, Laxus, Liam Gagati, Lifty, Lionel Schultz, Luis Minito, Marvin, Mason Stelfer, Matthew Blansett, Michael Lewis, Miran Ardron, Modaviram, Mr. Firecool, Nathaniel Gigramosa, Natsu Dragneel, Nick Monaco, Nick Pell, Nuvagown 1928, Oliver Smiley Reacts, Olive Wharf, Onyx Caliph, Oscar I. Lopez, Owen Halloran, Porgy, That's a Fish, Q-Flash, Chris Harris, Rimuru, Rodiz, Roll Tide Wes, Ryan DeViri, Sadaholic, Sakumi Iorum, Sarcastic Truth, Shadow Cleanser, Snowy, Stan, Storm 970, TRS, The Danish Muggle, Thrasher 340, Tomo Sandy, Vernon Hogan, Wacky Normal, Will Sass, Willyman.